There is so much at stake. Hearts too soft to break, but we don't need to go there. Are we going insane? Do we need to explain? I feel like we know it.
Every Time I'm With You. Well, it's a love song, obviously. It's a song of romance. I try to think of the most romantic thing I could think of, which one person would want to say and also want to hear from their significant other, whether it's their husband or their lover. And Every Time I'm With You, I think, is probably the most romantic thing you could say to someone. If you ask someone, well, why are we together? Why do you love me? If the other person says, well, because every time I'm with you, you make me feel wanted, I think that's so romantic. You know, it's one of the oldest muses that I can think of, and it never gets boring. So. Yes, what's going on? Well, one of the greatest songs written by one of the greatest voices ever. You know, when I think of Marvin Gaye, I always think of social comment. And he obviously was going through a period in his life where he had a lot to say. I hear a lot of pain and a lot of frustration in that song. At the same time, there is some optimism, there's some hope in his voice. But I love that song. I love all of his music, but that song and that period in particular is very touching. To do songs with a social comment in them, I think there's always a little element of that in the music I do. Even if you do sing a song like, for example, like Love, which is the last song on this album, Seal 7, it still has a social element to it. It's speaking socially rather than one-on-one. Okay.
I hear something saying,
Sam Cooke. That's not a song I know very well, but it's obviously a very popular song of his. I've covered one of his songs before, I think on the first Soul album. That's the sound of the men working on the Chain Gang. It's interesting because there's a paradox. You have a very uplifting, a very kind of happy sounding track, but the subject it's dealing with, there are people working on a prison chain gang, you know, so there's an element of kind of like suffering in it. But at the same time, it's genius because it's presented to you in a way that you can almost not hear that. If you're not paying attention, you can just enjoy the music and enjoy his singing. But if you want to delve deeper, there is a deeper meaning to it.
working on the chain gang. All day long they work so hard.
It's the first song I sang publicly when I was 11 also. My teacher put me on stage to sing that song. And it really kind of started my journey into music, to be honest. That's the first time I understood the power of music, of what it could do. And I listen to the lyrics now and I can see clearly now the rain is gone, all of my sad feelings have disappeared, gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's talking about, you know, all these things that have held him back or held the person back, but it's going to be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's very optimistic and it's actually quite fitting. If I think about it, it's no coincidence that that song really appealed to me. Killer. The beginning. It signifies the beginning of the rest of my life. Great memories, and there's a freedom in it that I like. You know, I didn't understand the meaning that you can't do this in music or you can't do that. There were no rules back then. Well, there were, but they were very loose. So yeah, that has good memories for me. Oh, great song. Great song. It's obviously Radiohead, but King of Limbs. And that's the first song from the King of Limbs. I love that album. I'm not the biggest Radiohead fan, but when they hit it, boy, do they hit it. And that album was fantastic for me. All of the songs on that album. Obviously, I love Lotus. It's a mini masterpiece. I think it's island mentality. I think essentially because we're an island, we're cut off from everywhere else and we try harder. But you're right, for such a small, effectively small landmass, it's incredible, not just the amount of musicians or the number of musicians that have come from there, but the influence that they've had on the rest of the world, musically, artistically as well. But for the sake of this conversation, musically, it's incredible. I feel very proud to be from that country that seems to kind of churn out musician after musician after musician, influential musician after musician after musician. Oh, great. One of the greatest ever. I personally think the greatest rock musician or the greatest live performer, I think, ever. He was spectacular. That song in particular, Another One Bites the Dust, it's difficult picking your favorite Queen song or your favorite Freddie Mercury song because there are so many. And it's interesting that people, I guess, you don't hear them talked about so much these days. Or at least I don't, but he had a major effect on me. I remember seeing Queen live at Wembley in 1982, I think it was. God, formidable. I mean, he was just an amazing performer, and I think you don't realize how much of an incredible singer he was until you try and sing one of his songs. And let me tell you, it's not easy. I remember singing Who Wants to Live Forever at Wembley after he died, and a big Queen tribute. And it was one of the highlights of my career.